Get the gas, please, hurry. I'm ASM medical.
A Lakewood agent turned hero.
New video shows an officer quickly firing back at a murder suspect even after she had been shot.
I believe everybody knows some part of the story.
A former Denver health paramedic accused of stealing fentanyl meant for patients.
Tonight, we're going deeper on the issues at Denver Health that allowed the theft to happen.
How can this happen?
That's $1 million question.
And your incredible donations to Denver 7 Gives help us give tens of thousands of dollars to a local food bank.
Thank you so much to Denver 7 viewers and Denver 7 Gives.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 6. I'm Ann Trujillo.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. A former paramedic has been arrested, accused of stealing large quantities of fentanyl while employed at Denver Health.
40-year-old Christopher Robert Pattinson faces 58 counts of tampering with a consumer product and obtaining a controlled substance by deception. Federal court documents show Pattinson stole 50 vials of fentanyl over a 3-year period while working as a Denver Health paramedic. And Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski is joining us live now. For months, you've been looking into problems at Denver Health.
And your sources say this arrest is a long time coming.
Yeah, Shannon, and here's what we've known. Federal agents have been looking closely at this issue for several months. Our sources telling us their paramedic, Lieutenant Chris Pattinson, was fired by Denver Health back in January. Tonight, exclusive insight from an informed source very familiar with Denver Health and this investigation. From what you witnessed, how easy was it to steal fentanyl?
It's very easy to steal the fentanyl.
He spent more than a decade as a Denver Health paramedic. Should this have been prevented?
Yes, it should have. There's all kinds of things they could have done to prevent this.
He's asked us to disguise his identity to protect his current job as a paramedic outside of Denver Health. He spent several years working closely with Lieutenant Chris Pattinson.
He was a consummate professional, had a very good reputation.
This indictment accuses Pattinson of acquiring and obtaining fentanyl for himself. It lists 50 different vials of liquid fentanyl between November of 2018 and January of 2022. Multiple sources say that number in the federal filing is a very conservative number.
I'm under the impression that it was greater than 1,000 vials of fentanyl. Anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 vials.
The indictment also accuses Pattinson of removing fentanyl from a number of vials and replacing it with another substance. What happened here?
I've heard that the vials were taken out, fluid was removed, the fentanyl fluid was removed, and other fluid was placed in the vials.
Do you think the leadership of the paramedic division was surprised when this came to light?
Not even a little bit. I think the Denver Health Paramedic Division realizes that they have some issues and that these issues need to be dealt with.
In a statement released shortly after Pattinson was arrested, Denver Health said back in January, after learning of the possible fentanyl thefts, we immediately notified the proper authorities and conducted an internal investigation. At the conclusion of our investigation, the paramedic was terminated. It continues. Our internal investigation found that no patients were harmed and no patients went without medication because of the individual's actions. While we had internal safeguards in place prior to this incident, we have enhanced protocols regarding control of opioids. Denver Health has changed its policy. What does that say?
It says that they're being looked at right now and they're being scrutinized. I think the change in policy is a result of additional attention and not necessarily a desire to do the right thing.
What do you hope happens after we report these facts?
I hope Denver Health will acknowledge that they had a problem.
Pattinson was in federal court earlier today for his initial appearance. He was released on a PR bond. After the hearing, we reached out to Pattinson's attorney, and he declined to comment. So a lot happening, but a major development in Denver Health coming forward and saying they made a policy change.
All right, Tony Kovaleski tonight. Nice work, Tony. Thank you very much. And going in depth on this tonight, certainly not the first time an employee has been accused of stealing fentanyl from a Colorado healthcare system. Back in 2016, former University of Colorado Hospital Aurora nurse Casey Unruh was sentenced to 24 months in prison for stealing opioids from patients. 2009, former Rose Medical Center surgery tech Kristen Parker was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison for stealing fentanyl from surgical patients. She would inject herself with a syringe containing fentanyl and then fill that same dirty syringe with saline and then put it back on the surgical tray. At least 19 patients later tested positive for hepatitis C.
And tonight we are getting our first glimpse at the heroic actions of Lakewood agent Ashley Ferris, who was shot and then killed a gunman who went on a murder spree last year. Now, before we show you this, we want to remind you that Agent Ferris did survive. She's doing fine. And in this video, you can see Agent Ferris confronting the gunman while at an intersection in the Belmar Shopping Center. And the two then back away from each other. And the suspect then shoots her one time. And as she's falling down, Agent Ferris fires back and kills him. Lakewood agent Brianna Hagan shot at the suspect earlier in the night. And today, both agents, Hagan and Ferris, were cleared by the district attorney for their actions. Now, this happened the night of December 27th. 5 people were killed across multiple locations in Denver and Lakewood.
And today, the DA also released new dispatch and 911 recordings describing the chaos at each scene.
Jeffcom 911, what's the address of the emergency?
Lucky 13 tattoo. It's off of Kipling and Colplex. There was a shooting. Me and my wife were in the shop. We were about to get tattoos. We were just standing there, and this guy and this shoot and this rifle came in, shot him 3 times, and then we booked it out the back and ran to the 7-Eleven across the street.
We have a victim shot in the Hyatt house. We're going in now with about 8 of us.
Who's going in there?
We have a citizen on the sidewalk telling us someone is shot inside.
Someone just came into the hotel and started shooting.
I am at Vanson, Alaska in the Belmar Shopping Center. Someone just shot at a cop.
If you have your tac vests, put them on. Dispatch, we're hearing shots fired. We're hearing shots fired.
I told I'm hit Alaska vest. Please hurry. I'm hit. Send medical.
In a statement today, DA Alexis King says Agent Ferris demonstrated particular heroism in returning fire while gravely wounded herself. King added that our community owes Agent Ferris and all our law enforcement partners a debt of gratitude for their service during this tragic event.
The Longmont drive-by shooting this weekend that killed a 13-year-old boy was possibly connected to a gang fight at the Boulder County Fair. According to the arrest affidavit, 13-year-old Zaire Rosales was walking with his cousin and another teen when they were shot while at Kensington Park. 2 teens were shot. Rosales later died at the hospital. Well, one of the victims later told police that PBG and ESL gang members had been sending threats to the teens through Instagram ever since a fight at the Boulder County Fairgrounds. And one of those Instagram accounts led back to 19-year-old Yair Solis, who has been arrested. He now faces first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder charges.
Well, impaired traffic deaths in Colorado have increased every year since the pandemic began, and looks like that trend will continue this year.
One Colorado family is now preparing to go to court tomorrow for a hearing for the driver who allegedly killed their son. And they shared their story with Denver 7's Colette Bordelon.
Where Westminster meets Federal Heights is an intersection where flowers sit day after day.
Every Saturday is a horrible Saturday. I hate it.
A memorial marks March 26th of this year.
Yeah, 21 weeks, 5 months and a week that we haven't had him here.
Renee Lund counts the weeks since she's seen her son, Tanner.
Most of my pictures are of him making a weird face. You know, it's hard to get a serious picture from him.
I was just about to say, those are my favorite ones. I think those are really funny. As she and those who loved Tanner,
I like the guitar one.
Try to pick which pictures they like the most.
But there's so many. I could have brought like a whole truck full. But yeah, this is my favorite, I think.
Tanner was 19 and dating Keelan Wilson.
We just loved each other, like it was like easy.
She was driving behind him when the crash happened.
Honestly, it's a lot easier now. Like before, it was really hard to get like that image out of my head.
His friends and family say Tanner was making a legal left-hand turn when another vehicle ran a red light and hit him.
Learning that he had been drunk, it made me a little bit more like angry, just like because that's so common, like it shouldn't be.
Tanner's best friend, Manuel Rodriguez, says the suspected drunk driver was going at least 30 miles over the speed limit.
Trying to put the pieces back together around my life based off of that.
Tanner is one of 140 deaths in Colorado caused by suspected impaired driving this year alone.
It's really selfish. I've lost some friends because of it, honestly, because they make jokes about it or they still do it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna associate myself with those people.
Calling attention to the dangers of drunk driving while still focusing on the little things in life that Tanner loved so much.
We made these cards kind of as random acts of kindness for, again, in memory of Tanner.
Day after day, making sure her son's light never goes out. Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
And the suspect, Noe Chavez, is facing 2 vehicular homicide charges, one for DUI and the other for reckless driving.
2 Arapahoe High School resource officers are being praised for quickly arresting a young man who was pointing a gun at students. It happened last Friday during lunch period near the King Soopers next to campus. The 2 school resource officers were able to arrest 18-year-old Connor Beals within minutes after the students reported what happened here. Police are still investigating Beals' possible connection to that school.
More than 90,000 kids are back in the classroom. Today was the first day of school for Denver Public Schools. And this is the first year that DPS is welcoming back students in person without mask requirements since the start of the pandemic. They look happy to be back. And tonight we want to say thank you for helping provide more than 140,000 meals to local families in need.
Today we presented Food Bank of the Rockies with a check for more than $35,000. And this donation was made possible thanks to viewer donations to our 7 Days to End Hunger campaign. And Denver 7 Gives also pitched in another $10,000 to donate to the food bank.
So thank you all so much. And you can always donate to Denver 7 Gives anytime. Just scan the QR code that you see on the bottom left-hand side of your screen or visit thedenverchannel.com.
This could be really damaging to somebody.
He lives in Denver, but his mail is delivered to a home in Ohio.
The only thing she said is, well, you're not going to get your mail back.
Someone changed his address through the Postal Service.
Now he's lost days and days of mail to a random address more than 1,200 miles away.
They should not be forwarding mail before they get a verification from the person's address that has a forwarded mail.
And it's the annual Colorado Battle. Which ski resort will open first this year?
Scattered storms today, but the long-range forecast is hotter and drier.